What the hell is a Melungeon? Many probably never even heard that word before. But in the Appalachian Mountains, there once lived a mysterious people who didn't fit into America's boxes. Too dark to be called white, not enslaved like Africans, and not recognized as native either. They didn't belong anywhere, so society gave them a name, the Melungeons. From the start, they were outsiders. Families living in small, isolated ridges of Virginia, Tennessee, and Kentucky. They spoke with accents that sounded unusual to their neighbors, carried old surnames that traced back to early colonial times, and kept mostly to themselves. Outsiders whispered about their origins. Were they Portuguese sailors who settled long before Jamestown? Escaped Turks or Moors brought over as indentured servants? Or maybe even descendants of Raleigh's lost colony of Roanoke? The rumors spread for centuries, but no one could agree on the truth. The first records of families, later called Melungeons, appear in Virginia and the Carolinas in the early 1700s. By the late 1700s and early 1800s, groups had moved deeper into the Appalachian frontier, settling in places like Newman's Ridge in Tennessee. Early census takers didn't know how to classify them, sometimes marking them as white, sometimes as free people of color. By the mid-1800s, Melungeon families were firmly rooted across Tennessee, Kentucky, and Virginia, living on land that most settlers overlooked. Their story runs through colonial America, the Civil War, and into the 20th century, always shadowed by questions of identity. In a country obsessed with racial purity, that uncertainty was dangerous. America's laws divided people into white or non-white, with little space for anyone in between. And the Melungeons lived in that in-between. Court records from the 1800s show families dragged before judges, forced to prove they were white in order to inherit land or secure rights. In some places, they were listed on censuses as free people of color or mulatto, labels that carried stigma and restrictions. The law didn't know what to make of them, and that meant their lives were never secure. To survive, the Melungeons withdrew deeper into the mountains. They farmed poor soil, raised families, and built small, tight-knit communities where outsiders rarely intruded. They didn't advertise their ancestry because questions could bring trouble. Generations grew up with silence as their shield, their history hidden even from their own children. Still, the legends only grew. Outsiders imagined them as exotic, cursed, or even dangerous. The truth of their ancestry was replaced by rumor, which was sometimes more damaging than reality. That reality began to surface in the late 20th century, when historians and genealogists studied Melungeon families more closely. And in the 21st century, DNA evidence confirmed what researchers had long suspected. The Melungeons weren't the children of lost colonists or mysterious sailors. They were tri-racial people, descendants of European settlers, free and enslaved Africans, and Native Americans. Families whose blended heritage didn't fit into the rigid categories of early America. And that is why they were pushed aside. Their very existence challenged the idea that races were meant to be separate. Their families proved what America tried to deny, that lives and lineages crossed long before the law was ready to admit it.